Greetings. I am Inea Rogers, Assistant Counsel General of the UNIA-ACL. The purpose of today's educational DVD is to provide you with information on how the Honorable Marcus Garvey established a government through the UNIA. We will talk about how Mr. Garvey accomplished that, how this government functions, and how in the 21st century this government looks. Today I have with me the Counsel General of the UNIA-ACL, Brother Farouk Muhammad, and he and I will be discussing these issues for your education. First of all, Brother Farouk, thank you for joining us today with this DVD. I want to first start off by asking you, what is the modern day definition of government?
All right. First of all, I want to say I'm happy to be here and to assist in the providing of information to our membership and interested people. For the past, I guess, 2.5 years, there's been a lot of interest that's been generated around the UNI functioning as a government. This was not something that was generally understood previously. Most people have looked at the UNI from an organizational perspective, from a spiritual perspective and a cultural perspective, but never from a legal perspective. So, like I said, about 2.5 years ago, the Honorable Redmond Battle, who was the President General at that time and who appointed me as Consul General, asked me to look into the legal legacy of the UNI. Got a chance to do that with the assistance of Professor Tony Martin, and was quite surprised, quite elated, quite happy to come to the understanding that a fully functional government had been established by Marcus Garvey. Now, that term needs to be understood with regards to how society today looks at government. The modern day definition usually has to meet 5 elements, 5 basic elements. One, you have to have a Declaration of Independence. That must be done publicly. You have to have a flag, you have to have a constitution, you have to have a plebiscite, which is a venue where people gather and publicly announce their support of this government. And you must get recognition from other governments. That is very critical. So those 5 elements are necessary if you're going to use the term government.
Okay, and I think it's clear to everyone that the UNIA does have a flag. The red, black, and green flag is very well known, and everybody understands that. But with those other 4 standards that you use, can you tell us how Mr. Garvey met those standards?
Yeah, be happy to. Most people are aware of the well-known statement that is attributed to Garvey when he describes how he had traveled all over the world looking for the black man's government. Where was the black man's kings and queens, people of high affairs? He, as a result of his efforts, determined that there was none, and then he declared, he actually used the word, I declare, that he will help to build one. I think where there's a fundamental failure in the people who have studied Garveyism is that they feel that, ask the question, did he do it? Was just a metaphor, an empty statement. Well, the answer to the question, yes, he did in fact do it. And not only did he make a declaration at that time of independence, but there was also a second declaration that was done in August of 1920 at Madison Square Garden. Now, the flag, most people look at the red, black, and green flag of the UNI, this flag here, as a cultural symbol. Some people look at it as just for commercial reasons, but all flags are a symbol of the government. This is what you look at when you're trying to identify a particular government. Everyone knows that when you look at the red, white, and blue, you see it anywhere in the world, you know that represents the American government. However, when people see the red, black, and green flag, they don't think of it in those terms, and we need to start looking at it from the perspective in which it was established as a symbol of our government. Most members of the UNIA know that there is a Constitution. That Constitution, again, was not just written to give you a figurative expression, but it was real. There's a preamble to the Constitution, which again sets the standards in which this government is to be identified.